Welcome back to the Mr. McNugget Show. I hope you're well. Now, today we're going to talk about Tiny Collection, because as these movies go on, you're going to find that I have a lot less copies of them. This is Halloween H20. And I have to say, this is the first Halloween movie that I saw in the theater. And there was a lot of hype building up to this movie for me because I was finally at the age that I could go see the movie. I didn't have to rely too much on too many other people to get there. And so I was pretty excited about it. I remember, these early internet days, getting on dial-up internet and looking at these Halloween fandom sites and seeing the image of Laurie looking through this round porthole looking window at Michael Myers' masked face on the other side. And it just was thrilling to see. I was so pumped for the movie, and but even then, getting on my neighbor's dial-up internet and checking out all these these screenshots from what we assumed would be this movie, and these screenshots did end up being in the movie. I hated the name. I mean, I understand Halloween 20 years later is the thought behind it, and that all makes perfectly good sense. I would just rather say Halloween 20 or H20 or something like that. But it's been always known and referred to as Halloween H2O. And I know that you get the water joke in there because H2O is water, the water. So I just didn't. I thought it was a stupid title for the movie. I've since gotten over my grievances with the title. When I saw the movie, I liked the movie, but it was the first movie, again, going back to the last video, that officially retconned everything past the second movie. So 3, 4, 5, and 6 are gone in this. Laurie has changed her name and has moved to California and is not any longer known as Laurie. And, she's out doing her own thing. And we don't have Jamie Lloyd anymore because that story is retconned out, and so now she has a son who goes to the same school that she, is a staff member at, and it works. It's really a good movie. I mean, what came after it was a different story, but it works as a movie all in and of itself. It jumps off after the second one, fine, just 20 years down the road. It has some great scenes in it again, too. And overall, I think this is a movie that works as a whole. I mean, people complain that it's kind of like the Scream version of Halloween, which I can see, the Kevin Williamson influence here. And the music, is kind of all over the place. You have some of the exact replicas of the Scream score just thrown in there, all the stuff that you hear in the Scream, movie score. So I could see it. I can see it. It's a thing that could be a little bit obnoxious, I guess, to some folks, but it was fine for me. It was fine. The mask didn't bother me that much. At that time, I wasn't scouring the screen for, well, this mask is different than that mask. And then there's the CGI mask and blah, blah, blah. Now that I know that it's there, yeah, it's gaudy. It looks terrible, but I didn't think about it then. One of the pieces of this movie, though, that I really, really liked was the fact that they subtly turn the tables on Michael Myers in this movie. And what I mean by that is in the chase sequences at the end where Michael is after Laurie one-on-one at this point, it goes through this situation where you can almost, and I don't know if anybody else interprets it this way or not, but you can almost feel that Laurie is getting to the point where she's no longer fearful of just trying to escape with her life. It is kind of going more on the attack. And instead of, like the new movies do, Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills, where she overtly says, "Kill him! We're going to kill him! Evil dies tonight!" They don't say any of that. It's not explicit in this. What happens is, once the chase happens in a Halloween movie, you see the monster more often, obviously. There's basically only one target for him left. So the suspense has reached the climax, and now we're on the waning end of the suspense and more on the thrill of the chase. And you're seeing the person running from him. And sometimes you'll see who's behind Laurie, the shape is behind her, or coming from the direction she just left, or, but you're seeing that angle of the action. it almost switches in the scene at the end of Halloween H2O, where now you're actually watching Michael walking around looking for her, as opposed to her running away and you wondering where he is or he's chasing her. I don't know if I explained that well or not. Sometimes it's like it's hard to kind of get these ideas out, but the perspective changes in this, where Michael is kind of being hunted. She is now looking for him actively. And it all culminates in her taking an axe and lopping his head off. And they do all of this in a way that doesn't tell you, it shows you. It gives you the perspective without any sort of exposition at all. You don't need any words behind it. It just happens. And I really thought that was cool. And honestly, at the time, I thought it was really cool that they went ahead and just decapitated Myers in this and put a bookend on it. It looked like it was a good stopping point, but the movie sold. And I'm just going to leave it there and move on to my copies of this movie. I only have two to share with you today, one of which you know is coming from the set, so I'll start with the VHS copy. I got this as soon as it came out. At this point, I had almost started working at the video store, but I think I might have bought this at the video store, possibly. I'm not really sure. I can't remember where I went to buy or have my parents buy, or however this worked out, these VHS copies of these things. These movies are made by Miramax Dimension, again, just like the last one. An instant classic. Good quote. Jamie Lee Curtis, sexy, smart, stunning. You know, she didn't have to wear a wig in this one because they just let her have her Jamie Lee Curtis hair, the short do that she's been pretty known for the majority of her adult life. Sensational, smart, nonstop scary, and a fun ride. I would agree with those. I believe that it is a fun ride. This movie, I think, can be encapsulated by that quote, which is, this is a fun ride. There's some silliness in it, sort of, but none of it takes you out of the experience. It has some humor in it, but it doesn't feel forced or out of place. This isn't a perfect movie by any means, and it's obviously a big studio picture here, so you have a lot of the trappings of that. I know a lot of things are reworked in this movie, like the studios tend to do that, you know. But overall, it is a fun ride. They have successfully created what I think they set out to create here. So yeah, I agree with the quotes on this. I really have no, other than seeing the movie in the theater, have no, my fondness for this is only that I just have it and keep it on my shelf. But some of these earlier movies I've talked about, I really kind of have a fondness for the collection for them. This one's just like, it's cool. I'm glad I have it, but I don't really have any sort of connection to the actual physical piece here, other than just being able to say it's on the shelf and there. It's part of the collection. It just exists. But again, I have this copy that came with the Scream Factory set. And I don't know that this summer Terror won't be taking a vacation line. It's not anywhere on the VHS box, but it was on the poster art. So there's that. And then we have special features on this, actually, which is pretty cool. So a commentary with Steve Miner, who directed this. That's another one, too. Steve Miner directing this, he's the Part 2 Friday the 13th director. He directed this, and he is on that commentary track, Jamie Lee Curtis, and it's moderated by Sean Clark. He's done a lot of things on this with his Horrors Hallowed Grounds series, too. Which, by the way, there is not a Halloween H2O Horrors Hallowed Grounds. I don't know if it could be in the future. That'd be pretty cool, but not as of yet. Making a featurette with a lot of the cast and crew. Vintage interviews and behind-the-scenes footage and a theatrical trailer. So this is not necessarily, you know, in this day and age, a robust lineup of special features, but it's part of the series and it's here. Again, very bare bones on the inside. So, you know, there's just not, it's just one of those entries in the series that's just not as, I don't think fans call for H2O to have stuff added to it or given to it or, you know, pump new features into it. I think more than anything, they want to see lost, missing footage and perspectives of people that could get on camera. In those earlier movies, I think a lot of those folks are more willing to get on the camera, whereas in this one, you have to get people that are a little higher up on the Hollywood food chain. You know, I don't think Michelle Williams is going to sit down and talk about Halloween H2O. I don't know that LL Cool J is going to sit down and talk about Halloween H2O. You know, Jamie Lee Curtis would at a very high price. Josh Hartnett, I don't know, maybe there'll come a time that he would talk about this, but I don't get the feeling that that's high up on his list of things to do in his world, even though he's not necessarily, you know, A-list guy in the celebrity world right now. But honestly, that's it for Halloween H2O. It is a fun ride, but it's one of the ones that I don't necessarily have a sweet spot for in the same kind of way I do a lot of other movies in this franchise. It's just a fun ride. So I revisit it. I enjoy it when I do, but it's not the first one I pull off the shelf, and it's definitely one that I don't hunger for in that weird way every Halloween season to see. Every once in a while it gets a spin, but just every once in a while. That's it for today. Now, next time we have an interesting one. It is Halloween Resurrection, which takes place directly after Halloween H2O. It is, I'm not even going to say it's divisive. It is one that is just not particularly, I don't know many people that are fond of it. Some people will try to tell you the very beginning, but it's something. Take it easy. Until next time, have a good one.